If you're talking about it, we're talking about it. Today's News Talk Radio, TNT.
And welcome back. I get some terrific guests on this program. I can't believe how well my brand new producer, Charlotte, is doing. She gets the best guests ever. Really does. John Porter is a former policeman, a former university manager, local authority manager, an IT professional like myself. I do that as well. And who has opinions on pretty much everything. I love that. And you'd have a very strong opinion about this because, believe this or not, parents are facing 7 years in jail if they don't allow their children to undergo gender change therapy, or, it's just nuts. We're going to talk to John Porter right now about it. John, the world's gone mad.
Yeah, well, the world's been going mad for quite some time, mate, hasn't it? I mean, really, if you think about it, it's not even just the last 3 years or 4 years now. It's before that. The world's had this slow decline into the end times of Western civilization as we know it. And all you can do is kick back, pour yourself a strong one, and just sit on the porch and watch it all disassemble.
You kind of feel a bit like the band, playing on the deck as the Titanic goes down. It's not going to end well, but you may as well enjoy it while it happens. But I'll tell you what, I think you and I both, mate, we're going to have a good old try at trying to save the ship before it goes down.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming to you here from very chilly Scotland, where I'll be later on training my co-host Ben in the grand old Scottish art of haggis chasing. Ben has an advantage in that he has one short leg and one long leg, so he's ideal for chasing them around the mountaintops. But apart from that, we have unfortunately an absolute imbecile in charge in Scotland right now. We have this man called Humza Yousaf. I actually do a skit, a parody, if you will, of him, where he becomes the persona known as Humza Useless, and I give a voiceover where he actually tells the truth. And there's something like 60-odd videos up on ChasingDescent.official on YouTube that you can go and have a look at. They're a laugh. But to get to the important thing, he's now again put forward other legislation that, as you say, up to 7 years in jail for not allowing your kid to change gender. Now, Scotland's a complicated place because it's got that many different types of laws and things. And as you know, I used to be an ex-cop, and kids were always considered personal property until the age of 16. In fact, you couldn't kidnap anyone in Scotland. It was known as plagium, theft of a child, if you took someone under the age of 16. So parents had more rights than anyone else, and the SNP seemed to have been trying to erode this because they started out, I don't know if you remember, Dean, but they started out with this thing called the named person scheme. Yeah. Where they were going to appoint someone, usually a teacher or a social worker or a health visitor or something, who would be the point of contact for that child up to the age of 18. Not the parent, this appointed person. But that get thrown out because the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do it. You're going to end up in data sharing issues. It's going to be a complete and utter nightmare. And the SNP eventually gave up on that one. And then they came back. Again with the self-ID. You just say what you are, and that's it. Nobody needs to question it. But again, the Supreme Court threw that out. You've got to do your 2 years living as other sex or whatever. And this one is just the latest in a line of shock legislation. I think that it's designed to try and keep them relevant because, let's face it, you've got the SNP, the Scottish National Party. It's a single issue party. That issue is independence. Well, we went to the polls in 2016 and we said, no, we don't want independence. We want to stay in the UK. And as far as I was concerned, that was it. It was a once in a generation vote. Well, that was only 8 years ago. So that's not a generation. But yet they're trying to get another vote. But that's it, a single issue party desperately trying to keep themselves relevant and trying to keep themselves in power, and they're failing. The guy is losing members left, right and centre. The SNP is losing members left, right and centre. They're down in the polls. And his latest scheme is he's come out and said, doesn't matter who you vote for in Scotland, Labour's going to win anyway. So he basically told the Scottish voters their vote doesn't count. So they may as well voting for SNP because we'll look after you. Yeah, okay, Humza. You've sent £750,000 to Gaza, right? And It's not your place to do that. You're basically a local mayor. You're not a world player, and you shouldn't be on the world stage. And the guy, I mean, I'm sorry, Dean, I'm sorry I'm cracking on here, but the guy really, really annoys me because he has no regard for the people of Scotland. Of course, it doesn't help that his wife is maybe a Palestinian and giving him it in the ear every night.
But, I love it when I meet someone from Scotland who's conservative. It's so rare. It's so refreshing. I think it's fair that I say that because, again, the more I hear about what's happening politically in Scotland, the more I understand why my granddad and my grandmother picked up with their 4 boys and landed in Melbourne and subsequently moved up to Sydney. It's just crazy. And the fact that they would happily be part of the EU again drives me absolutely nuts. I feel like I've got a dog in the fight, and it's a fight that common sense is losing.
See, that's the thing I don't get, Dean, because they go on. In fact, if you think about it, the SNP are effectively like Trump's Republican Party because their supporters have that kind of fervour. They even have the same slogan like MAGA, make Alba great again. But it's like... But they're so fervent for independence, yet the first thing they want to do is shackle themselves to a failing organisation because you cannot convince me that the EU is doing well. I mean, look at Germany. In recession, protests in the streets, farmers are protesting, the freight drivers are protesting at the increase in tolls, and now businesses are joining in. BASF, their biggest chemical manufacturer and huge employer, is moving to China.
And John, I mean, you couldn't have made a better analog, there's the Germans. I mean, they are historically, when we think of people who do everything precision, who work hard, who design, who do everything, just to the pinnacle. And there they are with austerity measures at the moment. You've got Scotland that's got some of the highest unemployment in all of Europe. And I mean, if Germany can fail, yeah.
And the worst drug record in all of Europe. Still got it.
Wow. Mate, it's just
Scotland.
It really is horrific. I mean, I don't know, how did Scotland go, from the days of, Braveheart, if you will. I know it's a stretch. But you know what I mean? How did we get from there to here? And I'm going to say we because I'm part of it. So tell me.
I can tell you exactly how it happened, mate, because Scotland... In fact, when I was a cop, we used to have this guy who would come round. He was one of the dog handlers, and he'd come round with this Alsatian that he had in the back of his van. And sometimes you'd walk past the van, and the van would be rocking. I mean, really rocking. And we'd go, what's going on with the dog? And he said, it's just having that time where it fights with itself because it can't find anyone to fight with. And that's what Scottish people are like. Now, you think back, you go back to Braveheart. We weren't one big organised country. We were a bunch of little clans and tin pot dictators that were always fighting each other. That's why the English came in and took over, to stop us killing each other. You've heard of the massacre of the McDonald's and Campbell's. So there's Scotland shoots itself in the foot at every turn. I mean, we even do it in sport. Look at Scotland. They drag or snatch defeat from the jaws of victory at every point. And that's what Scots people are like. We sabotage ourselves all the time.
So, John, here's the question, because, I can normally come up with a solution, but, is it fixable? Do you live in hope? Do you think it can be fixed? Do you think it can be turned around? Can the Scottish mindset, the mentality, can it be changed to the point where they fight back, or does it have to get so bad before it gets any better?
Well, I've got strong views, and I've been banging on about it on our show for the last 2 years. But I don't think the situation in the UK, and let's be honest, any of the westernised or Five Eyes countries, which you're sitting in just now, Dean, yeah. I don't think the situation's fixable in any of them without changing the system. And I think that's the big problem. And you can't change the system from inside. And maybe Darren and I should maybe hook up, because I think we've got similar views here. But you can't change the system from the inside. You got to tear it down. You got to start again.
It's like the old saying, or one that I use a lot, your broken nose ain't going to heal as long as you're getting punched in the face every day. And again, I think in this case, you said it's the Scottish given themselves an uppercut, and it's very sad. It's very sad for me personally, mate. You're living there. I hope it fixes itself, mate, because I mean, you look at some of the coolest people on the planet, and many of them have come from Scotland. So, mate, I hope things get better. John Porter, I hope we talk again, mate. And I
I'd love to.
You, mate, because this whole thing about parents, going to jail if their kids, if they don't allow their kids to undergo this kind of therapy, it is beyond horrific, and it'll be a good test case to see how this ends up. And if you could keep us up to date on that, mate, I would absolutely love it.
Will do, Dean. I don't think it'll happen. I think what will happen is the Supreme Court or Westminster will see sense and strike it down, and thank God Westminster's got that power to stop the SNP making these really, really stupid mistakes.
We must thank God himself for small mercies, my friend. Thank you, John Porter. An absolute pleasure to have you on the program.
Cheers, Dean.
Everybody, that's John Porter.